We are meant to call from out of the past stories, strange and weird.
Tales of mystery and terror by radio's masters of the macabre.
Stories of the supernatural, the supernormal, dramatized in fantasy, the mystery, the unknown. We tell you this frankly, so if you wish to avoid the excitement and tension of these imaginary plays, we urge you calmly, sincerely, to turn off your radio now.
Welcome back to The Horror. Thanks for joining me this Saturday. We're going to hear from The Black Mass this week, a series that aired over an irregular schedule over stations in Berkeley and Los Angeles, California from 1963 to 1967. Our story today is Tales by Lord Dunsany. This episode first aired January 29th, 1964.
Hello. Welcome to the Black Mass. We've been hoping you'd join us tonight. There's plenty of room in our establishment for everyone. I see that most of you are standing in the outer darkness, along the walls, in the corners. Well and good. But our inner circle, our chain of empathy, is not yet complete. 12 is such an even number. We need just one more. Won't someone volunteer? Come on. It's only in spirit. Ah, yes. You'll do nicely. Right here, on my left. Now, we're all set. Tonight, a little something for everyone, as we bring you 6 little tales by Lord Dunsany, in the order of their appearance. First, a nightmare, brought on by an overdose of lobster salad. Then, the workman, a moral for those who care enough to throw the first stone. Next, have your flask ready for the charm against thirst. This will be followed by an eyewitness report on how the enemy came upon Tlunrana, an enemy destined for all our inner sanctums. And finally, our favorite oarsman, Charon, and a situation he was bound to run into sooner or later. We saved this one specially for the end. Here now, 6 little tales by Lord Dunsany. I was climbing round the perilous outside of the palace of Kolkonombros. So far below me that in the tranquil twilight and clear air of those lands, I could only barely see them, lay the craggy tops of the mountains. It was along no battlements or terrace edge I was climbing, but on the sheer face of the wall itself, getting what foothold I could where the boulders joined. Had my feet been bare, I was done. But though I was in my nightshirt, I had on stout leather boots, and their edges somehow held in those narrow cracks. My fingers and wrists were aching. Had it been possible to stop for a moment, I might have been lured to give a second look at the fearful peaks of the mountains down there in the twilight. And this would have been fatal. That the thing was all in a dream is beside the point. We have fallen in dreams before. But it is well known that if in one of those falls you ever hit the ground, you die. I had looked at those menacing mountain tops below me, and knew well that such a fall as the one I feared would have such a termination. Then I went on. It is strange what different sensations there can be in different boulders. When your life depends on the edges of every one you come to. Those edges seemed strangely different. It was of no avail to overcome the terror of one, for the next would give you a hold in quite a different way, or hand you over to death in a different manner. Some were too sharp to hold, and some too flush with the wall. Those whose hold was the best crumbled the soonest. Each rock had its different terror. And then there were those things that followed behind me. And at last I came to a breach made long ago by an earthquake, or lightning, or war. I should have had to go down 1,000 feet to get round it. And they would have reached me while I was doing that. For certain sable apes, things that had tigerish teeth and were born and bred on that wall, had pursued me all the evening. In any case, I could have gone no further. Nor did I know what the king would do whose wall I was climbing. It was time to drop and be done with it, or stop and await those apes. And then it was that I remembered a pin. A pin that I had thrown carelessly down out of an evening tide in another world to the one where grew that glittering wall. Oh, the pin. It was lying now, if no evil chance had removed it, on the chest of drawers beside my bed. The apes were very close and hurrying, for they knew my fingers were slipping, and the cruel peaks of those infernal mountains seemed surer of me than the apes. Finally, I reached out with a desperate effort of will towards the other world, where the pin lay on the chest of drawers. I groped about. Where is it? I found it. And before the beasts could reach me, I grabbed the pin and I ran it through my arm. Saved. 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 I saw the workman fall with his scaffolding right from the summit of that hotel. As he came down, I saw him holding a knife and trying to cut his name on the scaffold. He had time to try to do this, for he must have had nearly 300 feet to fall. And I could think of nothing but his folly in doing this futile thing. For not only would the man be unrecognizably dead in 3 seconds, but the very pole on which he tried to scratch as much of his name as he had time for was certain to be burnt in a few weeks for firewood. Futility. Futility. Then I went home, for I had work to do, and all that evening I thought of the man's folly, till the thought hindered me from serious work. And late that night, while I was still at work, the ghost of the workman, floated through my wall and stood before me laughing. I could see the grey diaphanous form standing before me, shuddering with laughter. You, workman, ghost, why are you laughing? What are you laughing at? Why, I'm a-laughing at you, sitting and working there. But why? Why do you laugh at serious work? Why? Why, your bloomin' life'll go by like a wind, and your old silly civilization will be tidied up in a few centuries. Futility. Futility. Then, still laughing, he faded back through the wall again, and into the eternity from which he had come.
Summer, after many delays, had come at last to London, and the heat beat back from the walls and pavements so that the streets were baking. Just after lunch, when it seemed about at its hottest, I was walking down the Strand, going eastwards, when whom should I see, far off in the clear, bright air, but Jawkins coming towards me. Instead of any sign of recognition, he pulled out the end of his watch chain and began absently swinging it. As we drew nearer, I saw something blue on the watch chain, some sort of charm flashing round and round. When we were within a yard of each other, his eyes were still far from me. "Hello, Mr. Jawkins."
Hello there.
Out for a walk?"
Quite true, quite true. That's just what I'm out for.
The charm now hung still at the end of the watch chain. I looked at it, a little wavy thing, all blue and shiny, hard stone, but all cut into ripples, and blue, 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 right down into the deeps of it. It wasn't turquoise. It was too opaque for a gem. I don't know what it was, but I never saw any little ornament that so set you thinking of water.
Ever seen one of these?
No, what is it?
It's a charm.
No, what does it do?
Oh, it doesn't do anything very much. It keeps you from dying of thirst. I find it handy now and then.
Well, it's handy on a day such as this, anyway. And luck's already with us. There's Moltano's. Come in with me and tell me all about it. For there's one thing about Jawkins, and that is that he'll always tell you a story. Whether you believe it or not, it's your own affair, but he's always good for a story. And another thing about him is that he likes to be offered a drink.
The trouble about thirst is that you never know when it's going to catch you. I don't very often want a drink, but when I do...
Oh, on a day like this, I should think we all want a drink. What shall we have, Mr. Jawkins?
Well, on a day like this, I should think whiskey and soda.
Whiskey and soda? Well, I expect you're probably right. And I ordered 2 whiskies and sodas, We sat down, and they arrived. You were telling me about that spell.
Yes, it's a curious thing. But it works, you know. Always did.
Oh, does it really? I mean, have you had it long?
Yes, quite a while. I had it from a friend. He died. Died practically penniless. And left me his odds and ends. I came by it that way.
He didn't die of thirst, then?
No, not of thirst.
Mm-hmm.
It was very curious that he didn't die of thirst. The whole scene was set up for it. Whatever fates were guiding him must have meant him to die of thirst. But in the end, the charm was too strong for him. Yes, it works. Damn it works.
Where did he get it?
From a witch. In Africa, long way up the Nile, where they worship witches. My friend, Blanders, his name, bought this one because he was going northwards for a long trip in the Sahara. Yeah, he'd been there before, and thirst was what he was afraid of. The witch had a lot of charms for various purposes, against drowning, being eaten by crocodiles. But it was thirst he was afraid of. Poor Blanders.
What happened to him, then?
He went in from the north, took a few camels and men, as he'd done before, and went in as far as he could, and then turned round and came back again, merely seeing how far he could go with very little to drink. That was what it amounted to. Might have played that game anywhere. But playing it with the Sahara was like teasing a dog till it bit you.
No, teasing a tiger, I should say.
Only he had such infernal trust in this damned blue stone. And I can't deny it was justified. Well, he gets 6 camels and I think 5 Arabs, and starts one day from El Kantara. He went south for weeks, until the Arabs would go no farther. Simply wasn't enough water. And it was then that Blanders told them about his charm. One of those Arabs it was that told me about it later. They all looked at the blue stone and were enormously impressed. And for the next few days, they went on merrily. In fact, they remained in high spirits right up to the time that their camels began to die. After that, when only 2 camels were left, and only as much water as each man had in a bottle, and there were 100 miles still to go, no man of any sense would have believed in a charm against thirst. And nobody did but Blanders. The camels very soon died, and the last drop of water was gone when they were still 50 miles from the mountains. The next day they began to see the tips of the crags, and the sight hardened them. They were sure of water there. Old storms have filled those mountains with water courses and cut them far out into the desert. That day they did 30 miles. The next morning, with only 20 miles to go, they saw black rain clouds heavy along the mountains. They heard the thunder from the storm that was lashing those peaks, but not a drop fell in the desert. The storm was moving away into the interior of the mountains. The first slope they came to would have water in abundance, but that comforted Blanders little. And yet he clung still with the same queer, blind faith in the blue stone. He would have laid down and died hours earlier had it not been for this hope that he got from the stone. But after struggling on a little farther, he finally gave up 10 miles from the mountains. They had got amongst the ravines, at least, the steep, dry, rocky beds of lost streams. Here, they could no longer go straight. A walk over the flat Sahara was one thing for a man to do on hope and hope alone. But that rough walking was beyond Blanders' powers. He urged the Arabs to go on if they wanted. He would stay there and dig. There had certainly been water once in the very spot where he had fallen. It was a riverbed 10 feet deep, with huge boulders in it that had been smoothed and rounded like marbles by some old torrent. He began to dig in a patch of sand with his knife. The Arabs neither left him nor helped, but sat and watched him from the bank. There was Blanders digging with a knife, and only this here blue stone between him and the knowledge that death from thirst was certain. There was not a flicker of hope in the faces of the Arabs. They were as parched as he, and the thunder from the storm in the mountains was rolling farther and farther off. Then suddenly the Arab shouted. Blanders looked up and did not understand. But it would have been too late anyway. There never is time on those occasions when the storms send down the rivers that make those watercourses. It came down round the corner, the old river, the rightful possessor of that watercourse, rolling the boulders along with it like a boy playing marbles. And Blanders was swept away for over a mile, and round his neck, on its chain, when they found his body, lay that triumphant amulet. Drowned. He could have had a charm against drowning for the same price. But one never knows what's in store. That's the way of those charms.
Well, anyway, it's not treating you like that.
You think because it got me a drink that it is not packed as full of curses as an African witch can do it. They're all the same. All those charms and spells that promise you so much. All the same. What has it done for me? All that it promises. And then it gets level. Just as it did with Blanders. It's the same with all these bargains. Always was. Man is always outwitted. It'll take me the same way as Blanders. Slower, that's all. What is time to these ancient devilries?
I hardly knew what to say. I was turning over a few phrases, all equally lame, when Jorgen suddenly smiled.
Well, we've got on to a pretty gloomy topic, haven't we?
I cannot claim to be a tactful person, and yet sometimes an inner feeling tells me the right thing to do without knowing at all why. It prompted me now. Well, have another drink anyway. Have another drink.
Thank you very much. I will. I will.
It had been prophesied of old, and foreseen from the ancient days, that its enemy would come upon Tlunrana. And the date of its doom was known, and the gate by which it would enter. Yet none had prophesied of the enemy who he was, save that he was of the gods, though he dwelt with men. Meanwhile, Tlunrana, that secret lamasery, that chief cathedral of wizardry, was the terror of the valley in which it stood, and of all the lands round about it. So narrow and high were the windows, and so strange when lighted at night, that they seemed to regard men with the demonic leer of something that had a secret in the dark. Who were the magicians, and the deputy magicians, and the great arch-wizard of that furtive place? Nobody knew, for they went veiled and hooded and cloaked, completely in black. Though her doom was close upon her, and the enemy of prophecy should come that very night through the open southward door that was named the Gate of the Doom. Yet that rocky edifice, Tlunrana, remained mysterious still, venerable, terrible, dark, and dreadfully crowned with her doom. It was not often that anyone dared wander near to Tlunrana by night. When the moan of the magicians invoking we know not whom rose faintly from inner chambers, scaring the drifting bats. But on the last night of all, the man from the black-thatched cottage by the 5 pine trees came, because he would see Tlunrana once again before the enemy that was divine but that dwelt with man should come up against it, and it should be no more. Up the dark valley he went like a bold man, but his fears were thick upon him. His bravery bore their weight, but stood a little beneath them. He went in at the southward gate that is named the Gate of Doom. He came into a dark hall and passed up a marble stairway to see the last of Tlunrana. At the top, a curtain of black velvet hung, and he passed into a chamber heavily hung with curtains, with a gloom in it that was blacker than anything they could account for. In a somber chamber beyond, seen through a vacant archway, magicians with lighted tapers plied their wizardry and whispered incantations. All the rats in the place were passing away, going whimpering down the stairway. The man from the black-thatched cottage passed through that second chamber. The magicians did not look at him, and did not cease their incantations. He passed from them through heavy curtains, still of black velvet, and came into a chamber of black marble, where nothing stirred. Only one taper burned in the third chamber. There were no windows. On the smooth floor, and under the smooth wall, a silk pavilion stood with its curtains drawn close together. This was the Holy of Holies of that ominous place, its inner mystery. One on each side of it, dark figures crouched, either of men or women, or cloaked stone, or of beasts trained to be silent. When the awful stillness of the mystery was more than he could bear, the man from the black-thatched cottage by the 5 pine trees went up to the silk pavilion, and with a bold and nervous clutch of the hand, drew one of the curtains aside. And saw the inner mystery. And laughed. And the prophecy was fulfilled, and Tlunrana was never more a terror to the valley. But the magicians passed away from their terrible halls and fled through the open fields, wailing and beating their breasts. For laughter was the enemy that was doomed to come against Tlunrana through her southward gate that was named the Gate of Doom. For laughter is of the gods, but dwells with man. of Utra, very clearly saw last night the queenly Vavaneria, though partly she was hidden by great clouds that swept continually by her, rolling over and over. Yet her face was unhidden and shone, being full of moonlight. Vavaneria, walk with me. Walk by the great pools in many-gardened, beautiful Istrakhan, where the lilies float that give delectable dreams. Or, drawing aside the curtain of hanging orchids, pass with me thence from the pools by a secret path, through the jungle that fills the only way between the mountains that shut in Istrakhan. The mountains shut it in, and look on it with joy at morning, and at evening when the pools are strange with light, till in their gladness sometimes there melts the deadly snow that kills upon lonely heights the mountaineer. They have valleys among them, older than the wrinkles of the moon. Oh, Vavaneria, come with me thence, or linger with me there, and either we shall come to romantic lands which the men of the caravan speak of only in song, or else we shall listlessly walk in a land so lovely that even the butterflies that float about it, when they see their images flash in the sacred pools, are terrified by their beauty. And each night we shall hear the myriad nightingales, all in one chorus, sing the stars to death. Oh, do this, Vavaneria, and I will send heralds far from here with tidings of thy beauty. And they shall run and come to Sandara, and men shall know it there who herd brown sheep. And from Sandara the rumor shall spread on down either bank of the holy river of Zorth, till the peoples that make wattles in the plains shall hear of it, and sing. But the heralds shall go northward along the hills until they come to Suma, and in that golden city they shall tell the kings that sit in their lofty alabaster house, of thy strange and sudden smile. And often in distant markets shall thy story be told by merchants out from Suma, as they sit telling careless tales to lure men to their wares. And the heralds passing hence shall come even to Ingra where they dance. And there they shall tell of thee, so that thy name long hence shall be sung in that joyous city. And there they shall borrow camels and pass over the sands and go by desert ways to distant Near it, to tell of thee to the lonely men in the mountain monasteries. Oh, Vavaneria, come with me even now. Come with me now, for it is spring. And as I said this, she faintly, yet perceptibly, shook her head. And it was only then, I remembered my youth was gone, and she dead. 40 years. Forward and row. All things are one in my weariness.
weariness not of years, not of centuries, but of wide floods of time, eons, eons. Oh, the heaviness. The pain in my arms. A part of the scheme made by the gods. And all of a piece with eternity.
Karen leaned forward and rode. If the gods had sent him a contrary wind, it would have divided all time in his memory into two equal slabs. So grey were all things always where he was, that if any radiance lingered a moment among the dead, on the face of such a queen perhaps as Cleopatra, his eyes could not have perceived it.
All things one with my weariness.
It was strange that the dead nowadays were coming in such numbers. They were coming in thousands where they used to come in 50s. It was neither Charon's duty nor his wont to ponder in his grey soul why these things may be. Charon leaned forward and rode. Then no one came for a while. It wasn't usual for the gods to send no one down from earth for such a space, but the gods knew best. One man finally came, alone. The ghost sat shivering on a lonely bench, and the great boat pushed off.
Only one passenger. Only one. Well, the gods know best. The gods know best.
And the great and weary Charon rode on and on beside his passenger. The sound of the river was like a mighty sigh that grief in the beginning had sighed among her sisters, and that couldn't die like the echoes of human sorrow failing on earthly hills, but was as old as time and the pain in Charon's arms. Then the boat from the slow grey river loomed up to the coast of Dis, and the silent ghost, still shivering, stepped ashore, and Charon turned the boat to go wearily back to the world.
Wait. I can't wait. I must go back to the world.
Wait! I am the last! I am the last one!
The last. The last. The last. Well, the gods know best. The gods know best.
No one had ever made Charon smile before. No one before had ever made him weep.
left. But you'd better stand by, Karen. Just in case. And now, for those of you who are left, it's time to break up our little gathering for this evening. We'll meet again real soon. Join us wherever you are. Bring a friend. Good night.
That's the show for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. You can find more from the Black Mass at relicradio.com, alongside thousands of other old-time radio episodes, past episodes of The Horror, all the other podcasts, and our Shoutcast stream. Tons to listen to, all for free, thanks to your support. If you'd like to help this and all of the shows, visit donate.relicradio.com or click on that donate link. Got some downloadable sets for certain donation amounts, though any amount is always appreciated. Thank you, as always, to those who have helped out. Thanks for joining me today. Talk again next Saturday with another episode of The Horror.
Strange Tales.
RelicRadio.com presents tales of the strange and bizarre, the weird and the wicked. Stories not necessarily of the supernatural, but of the unnatural. Join us now for Strange Tales, featuring radio drama at its most mysterious and unusual. This is Relic Radio's Strange Tales. Thanks for joining me this Sunday. We're going to hear this week from The Weird Circle, series produced between 1943 and 1945. 78 episodes were produced, aired at one time or another over mutual NBC and ABC stations. Our story today is from March of 1945. It's titled The Shadow.
Out of the past, phantoms of a world gone by, speak again the immortal tale, The Shadow. 'tis in the hot lands that the sun burns. All sensible folk stay within doors. Windows and shutters are closed the whole day, and it looks as though the houses in the city sleep. But in the evening, the town comes to life. It is lively up and down the streets, and to visitors from Northlands, like Kurt Van Anders and Peter Vroom, watching from their balconies, the Orient is a wonderful spectacle.
Kurt, come in off the balcony.
All right, Peter.
Sit down.
Oh, but the fun's just starting outside.
Sit down, my boy. I want to talk to you.
Well, if you're going to take that tone, all right.
Tell me, who am I?
Who are you?
Hmm?
Oh, it's to be a catechism, is it? Very well. You are the Honorable Peter Vroom, tutor extraordinary to Baron Kurt Van Anders.
And who is the Baron Kurt Van Anders?
Why, I am.
And you must not take amiss what I say to you now. For I speak not as friend to friend, but as teacher to pupil.
Oh, so that's why my father sent you after me.
Baron Van Anders, you were promised a year of travel alone for the purpose of completing your education, broadening your viewpoint, and acquiring the degree of sophistication requisite in our Danish society.
I won't go home. I've only had 6 months.
Which you have spent idling in this unwholesome city. Baron, your father is not pleased with us. Consequently, I bring orders that you're to return home at once.
Are you finished, mynheer?
I am finished.
Well, then let us speak as friends again. Peter, I can't come home.
Why on earth not?
Because of that voice.
What voice?
Don't you hear it? Listen. A woman singing. She sings every night at this hour in the house across the street. Oh, she has a lovely voice. An exquisite voice.
Good. This does not make sense.
Well, not to you, Peter, because you are old, but I am young. And I am caught on the threads of that lovely voice like a fish in a net. And I will not leave until I've seen her.
Then look. Step to the balcony and look into her window.
I've tried. I can never see her. Oh, Peter, my friend, she has a lovely voice. A magic voice. It's like our northern stars that fill the heart with unquenchable yearning. I would give anything to see her. She stopped now.
It's just as well. Now come to bed, my boy, and forget this romantic nonsense. We've packing to do in the morning. We must leave for Denmark before nightfall.
Well, if those are my grim old father's orders, I suppose I'll have to. But it's hard to leave this mystery behind. Oh, if I could only see her just once.
Why not let your shadow see her?
Oh, don't play the fool with me, Peter.
I assure you I'm not. Have you forgotten the old Danish belief that what your shadow sees by day is what you dream by night?
Why, that's right. I had forgotten.
Here, stand here. That's it. See, the lamp hurls your shadow across the street into that room. Turn your head a little.
Right.
Your shadow must look around the room. It will see her. And tonight, you will see her face in your dreams.
Peter! Peter, Oh.
Kurt! In the name of heaven, Kurt, what is it?
Oh, you have eyes, man. Look! My shadow is gone.
Impossible.
Well, then where is it? Tell me. Point it out to me. Peter, turn up that lamp. There, now. Now, where is my shadow? Step aside, Peter. Let there be no mistake about this.
All right, my boy. You'll see it's all imagination.
Now, then. Look. Well?
I don't know what to say.
Peter Vroom, tutor to the Baron Van Anders, master of arts, doctor of philosophy. Out of the depths of your scholarship, explain.
I cannot.
Well, then so much for science and philosophy. Then I'll tell you where my shadow is. It's across the street in a white house with emerald shutters, held by a harpy who sings with all the guile of a spider. And it's to her web I go now. What I have, I keep. And I want my shadow back. I want my shadow back. Open up in there. Open up! You thieves! be spiders! Open up, you shadow stealers! Open this door! Open this door, thieves. It is Baron Von Anders calling you to account. This is no sheep to be slaughtered in silence and safety. Open up! Yes? You're the woman who sings. You're the woman who stole my shadow.
Yes, my friend, I am. Come, let us go inside. This way, Baron.
Who are you? What kind of a house is this?
I am called the Gray Spinner. And this house is the House of Tapestries. Sit down, Baron.
I don't think I understand.
Not many do, Baron Von Anders.
What do you do here?
We spin, my friend. I and my two sisters. We spin lives from gray threads. Small gray threads. The web your shadow was made of.
My shadow?
You have come to claim it. I know. You are too late. We have already woven your shadow.
You have what?
It is an art we practice. To take the thin gray shadows and spin them into living, breathing beings. A fine, exquisite art, my dear Baron. But we are expert artists. There are thousands of our shadow people walking your earth, born of no woman, owing their lives to us.
I don't believe you.
But it is true, my friend. Half the people in this world, half the people you see, half your friends are mere living shadows, spun gray shadows woven by us, the three gray spinners.
I want my shadow back. You have no right.
You cannot have your shadow, my friend. He is a free man. You cannot control him. But beware, Baron, beware. For your end and your shadow's end will be the same. The same end at the same time, Baron.
In the far northern countries, the little sun that is seen gives forth a pale, watery light that shows hardly any shadows at all. One does not notice shadows in the Northlands. One would not notice a man who had no shadow. But a man without a shadow doesn't realize this. He believes all eyes spy out his secret, and like a harried beast lurks in darkness, nursing his fears.
Kurt! Hang it, it's pitch dark in here. But I'll swear this is the place. I know it was him I followed. I know he came into this apartment. Kurt!
Oh, all right, Peter. Suppose I might as well give in. You found me.
Kurt, then it was you.
Yes, it was me. One moment, I've got my tinderbox here. I'll light a candle. I don't usually keep a light going. Naturally, you understand why. Here we are.
Kurt, you fool, you fool.
All right, Peter, you found me. Now, don't lecture me.
But to come home with me and then give me the slip right here in Königsberg, to hide for a year, a whole year, and in a hovel like this, my boy, you're insane.
You know I'm not, Peter. A man without a shadow doesn't expose himself.
But what have you been doing for a year?
Looking for a gray lady, a gray spinner, a lady who perhaps might spin me a new shadow.
Shadow, it's warped your mind. Oh, my boy, how could you do this to me and to your father?
How is it with you, Peter?
How can you ask? You must know. I've been dismissed by your father for losing you. My reputation blasted, my career, my life ended. I've spent a year searching for you. Searching and hoping.
That's really very funny, Peter. I've been looking for a shadow without a man, and you for a man without a shadow.
But now that I found you, all will be well again. You'll come with me to your father. I shall be reinstated. We'll make up a story about tropical fever, eh? Loss of mind. All will be well again. You'll
No,
see.
Peter.
You mean you want a different excuse for vanishing?
I mean I'm not going back.
Not going back?
How can I? How can a man without a shadow ever dare appear anywhere? You know how they stoned me in the streets of that city? You remember how we were attacked at every stop on the way home? wherever I showed myself.
But this is home. You're safe here,
A man without a shadow is safe nowhere. I will not leave this place except at night. And I will not go to my father's house.
I'm going to tell your father where you are. I'm going to tell him why you're here. That you're insane. I'm going to
You tell him nothing.
What? No,
You blind, blundering fool. You'd sell me for a fine, fat job, eh?
No good. No, in heaven's name.
Listen to me, fool. Listen. Listen while you can still hear. I've nothing left. Money, friends, clothes, even shadow. But 2 hands and courage I have. And with them I fight for what I want. Always. It's the door. Someone there. Peter's body. I got to hide it, but where?
Pardon. I took the liberty. You are Baron Kurt von Anders? Pardon again. I did not see you had company. But you are Baron von Anders.
Yes,
That man is dead? Yes?
Yes.
You have just strangled him, Baron, eh? I see the white finger marks on the throat turning red. He died quite recently, hmm?
Yes.
That is very funny. While I entered, his life fled.
Who are you?
Ah, it is as I expected. You do not recognize me, Baron.
No. You're not of the police.
No. It is not my business that you are a murderer.
Then who are you?
Oh, come now. Can you not guess? I've been an old friend of yours for 20 years. We grew up together, my dear Baron. And yet, you do not recognize me.
In heaven's name, who are you?
I am your shadow.
They tell a tale in the far northern countries where this story takes place, that once a man standing before a mirror slipped and fell through the glass, and so met himself in the flesh, face to face. Whereupon he screamed in terror, because the face he saw was so ugly. No, it is not pleasant anywhere to meet and speak with a part of yourself, especially if that part be your shadow.
You are surprised, my dear Baron, eh? What did you expect? Sooner or later, your shadow had to return, eh?
This is impossible. I don't believe it. You are flesh and blood, alive.
Ah, yes. The gray women spin well on the looms. Yes, I'm alive, flesh and blood. Well woven, so to speak.
And you are no longer a shadow. My shadow.
I am nobody's shadow. I am a prince of Samarkand.
A prince?
Not by heredity, you understand, but by something better. A prince by conquest, dear Baron. Ah, yes. I've had many adventures during this year. I will tell them to you someday.
What brings you north to Denmark?
It's a strange mission, my friend, and I shall ask your advice, but later. Now, what about yourself? It is not wise to murder, you know. They hang murderers. What are you to do?
I must escape somehow.
Escape, yes, very good. You have money still? You'll pardon me, I can't help asking. These chambers so very poor and ugly.
No, I have no money. I have nothing left since I lost you.
I will help you escape if you will render me a very small service in return.
What service?
I have come north on an import takes me to the court of Maria, Countess of Heligo. You know the name. The lands are in Finland?
No.
Strange, Baron. Your own family is powerful in Denmark. Your acquaintance is large in the northern countries.
I've never heard of her. She's some impostor, some deceiver. There is no Countess Maria of Heligo.
And we shall see. But for now, my predicament is this. You see, I have no shadow.
No shadow?
But how could I? The gray ladies weave well, but even they cannot spin a shadow for a shadow.
True.
And so, I will help you escape if you will... Oh, no, this is embarrassing. How can I ask it of you?
Ask what you will. I am a desperate man by this killing.
Then, will you come away with me to Finland? I will protect you, feed you, clothe you, and ask only a small thing in return.
What thing?
That you be my shadow.
Prince of Samarkand, this is the final irony of the gray spinner. So the shadow shall be the master, and the master the shadow.
But you must remember, my friend, it is you who are the shadow. Let me trouble you to remember that, lest I remember to mention a certain killing to the gods of Denmark.
No, you would not.
But you believe I would, eh? And you are right. One does not become Prince of Samarkand through squeamishness. It would be wise to keep that in mind.
I will remember. Only answer me one question in return. Why did you save me from death when I am the one person who can betray your secret? Why?
It was mercy, my shadow.
No, it was something else.
It was mercy.
Enter, Prince, and welcome to Heligo.
My companion will wait outside.
Very well.
I am pleased to greet you after these many months of letters, Prince.
My dear Countess Maria, I've been looking forward to this meeting ever since we reached our delightful agreement. I can only say the beauty of your letters has been but a pale reflection of your own charm.
Not so fast, my friend. You must answer one question for me.
Yes?
Why do you not cast a shadow?
We of the far south are sorcerers. I've had my shadow trimmed up into a man. You saw him just outside the door.
This is most unusual, Prince of Magic.
And it is really a delightful joke. For my shadow is so proud of passing himself off as a man that if he is to be kept in a proper humor, he must be treated quite like a man.
I like that. I have met many princes, but you are the first ever to be original about your shadow. Yes, I think I shall like you more and more, Prince of Samarkand. Prince of Magicians.
Then I shall hope more, Your Grace.
Do not waste too many moments in hoping. It will be a good marriage, my friend. A splendid matching of north and south.
Ah, dear lady.
No. Now go first to your suite. You are wearied with much traveling. There will be a banquet tonight. Go. You must rest. You and your man shadow. In 2 hours, my friend.
In 2 hours.
Well, is your business finished? Can we leave now?
Listen, my good friend. You will listen closely, eh? I have now become as happy and mighty as anyone can be. I will therefore do something particular for you.
What? You can give me back my shadow?
You shall always live with me in the palace. Drive with me in the royal carriage. Have 10,000 gold pieces a year. Then you must submit to be called Shadow by all and everyone.
No.
You must not say you have ever been a man. And once a year, when I sit on the balcony in the sunshine, you must lie at my feet as a shadow should do.
Never. You ask too high a price for your blood money.
I must tell you, I'm going to marry the Countess.
No. This is not right. I will not have it. And I will not do it. You will deceive the whole country and the Countess, too. All right, I will tell everything. That I am a man and that you are my shadow.
Fool! Who would believe you? Be reasonable, or I will call the guard.
Get out of the way. I'm going to the Countess.
You are a fool. A man with a price on your head. You cannot.
Get out of the way.
But I say...
Prince.
Your Grace.
You're trembling. Has something happened? What was that noise?
Countess,
I have lived to see the most cruel thing that anyone could see. What a pity. His poor shadow brain could not bear the strain.
What is it? What are you saying?
My shadow has turned mad. He thinks he is a man and I am his shadow.
Poor shadow.
I'm afraid he will never recover. I shall have to keep him confined forever. Guard, take him to his room and chain him.
No.
It was not just of you, Prince of Magicians, to take a common shadow and work your enchantments on him. Small wonder he's gone mad.
Perhaps.
You must never play these tricks again. Now, I think it would be a real act of charity to deliver your shadow of the little illusory life he has.
Oh, no.
Yes. When I think the matter over, I'm convinced it will be necessary to do away with him quietly.
No, you must not. I forbid it.
No man forbids me anything in my own court, my friend. We will talk of it by and by at the banquet. But rest assured, your shadow must die. Your shadow, Prince, must die. As you all see, at my right sits the noble Prince of Samarkand, noble cousin from the far south who has journeyed many thousands of leagues to our court.
Your Grace.
One moment, my dear.
I must speak to you. I've not had the chance all evening. I must speak about my shadow.
He will be taken care of, I've promised.
No.
To some of you, the purpose of this visit is a mystery. To a few others, it is perhaps known. Now I shall make the truth known to all.
Cousin, listen to me, I beg you.
What is it?
You must not harm my shadow.
You will not be harmed, my dear. I have promised his little life will be taken. Nothing more. No torture. No pain.
But you cannot take his life.
Cannot in my own castle, Prince? No. It is a lesson you must learn for the future. At this moment, they will be bringing the headsman to his cell.
I beg you, no. I beg you. Great heaven. I can feel the fingers of death chilling my heart even now.
You are oversensitive. We must harden you a little with our northern frost.
Creeps to my throat. Can you do nothing to save me? Stop the death. I beg you.
Prince.
I did not tell him. I did not dare lay my life in his hands. The gray spinner, she told me, when he dies, so must I die. How else could it be between master and shadow? My life linked to his, and now...
He is gone. In the twinkling of an eye, gone. Prince of Samarkand, Prince of Magicians, nothing remains but an empty sack of clothes. Oh, it's over. The game is played and finished. Away, shadows, all of you. The play is ended. The man is dead and his shadow, too. This shadow castle will vanish and we must part and go our ways. But we have our little jest now. And we shall chuckle over it for a time. The three gray spinners will have a jest to while away the weary, immortal years. Until the time comes to joke and laugh once more.
It is hot in the Southlands and cold in the north. The east winds blow chill, and the west winds sweet and soft. But north and south, east and west, the gray spinners weave the tapestry of some men's lives. Perhaps your own. From the time-worn pages of the past, we have brought you the immortal tale, The Shadow. Bellkeeper, toll the bell.
That's our Strange Tale for this week. Hope you enjoyed it. You can find a lot more from the Weird Circle at the website, relicradio.com. You'll also find past episodes of Strange Tales and thousands of other old-time radio episodes available to listen to for free. Thanks to your support. If you'd like to help support this and all of the shows, click on the donate link on the website or visit donate.relicradio.com for more information. We've got some downloadable sets for certain donation amounts, but any amount is always appreciated and helpful. Thanks to those who have helped out. Thanks for joining me today. I'll be back next Sunday with another episode of Relic Radio's Strange Tales.